What's going on, everyone? Could Myles Turner now be an option for the Los Angeles Lakers? Myles Turner is a guy that has been on the Lakers probably like 5 times now, right? And it's still one of those situations that I think if the Lakers would have actually gone through with that trade, the Buddy Hield to Myles Turner trade, there's a very good chance that they already have an NBA championship. And at worst, they have LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves along with Myles Turner, which I think they'd be in great shape, and now you could go focus on rounding out the perimeter depth and stuff like that, rather than having to use assets to go get a center. And then, if they would have already had done that, probably be in a very different situation. But nonetheless, right, Myles Turner was originally looked at as a guy that is probably going to stick around with Indiana. He is a free agent, so he could leave. That's a very real possibility, but Indiana was expected to go into the tax in order to pay him, right, become an apron team, all that stuff, in order to keep kind of the core pieces intact. But a couple things have happened since now that we've gotten through the NBA Finals. One, he's coming off of a terrible NBA Finals. I mean, terrible. He was not very good at all, and we'll come back to that here in a moment. But the biggest thing is, what does Indiana do now with Tyrese Halliburton? So we have confirmation that Tyrese Halliburton did indeed tear his Achilles, which is awful. Look, credit Oklahoma City. I'm not one of those people that believe in asterisks or anything like that. Look, it's not OKC's job to make sure that, Tyrese is healthy or, hey, let's take an extra. No, their job is to show up and do what you're supposed to do, right? Beat the team in front of you, whatever happens, right? Injuries are part of the game. It's unfortunate, especially this year with all the Achilles. Been a lot of Achilles injuries this year. But it's not, again, OKC's job. However, it does kind of go, what does that game look like if Tyrese Halliburton, who was 3 of 4 from 3, was really asserting himself early on? One of the biggest reasons OKC won that game was the amount of turnovers that they created and got 14 more field goal attempts, right? It's just kind of like, would that have been a very different game without Tyrese Halliburton? We'll see. We won't see. It's just something that we have to think about. But, we'll see what they do with the Indiana Pacers as far as Tyrese Halliburton and kind of the direction of this team, right? He's very likely going to miss all of next year, more so than some of these other Achilles injuries, because he literally got hurt at the very last minute that you possibly can, right? So it's unfortunate. So what do the Indiana Pacers do? Do they kind of just keep everybody together and hope maybe they can go on a run without Tyrese Halliburton, or do they go and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't get into the tax with Myles Turner. Maybe we should kind of keep everything so we can kind of restructure or whatever we need to do. And then the following year when Tyrese Halliburton comes back, then we'll go make whatever changes and things that are necessary. I don't know. But also, does Myles Turner want out? Does Myles Turner look at it and go, I wanted to stay in Indiana even if we lost the NBA Finals because I wanted to try to get back. Well, without Tyrese Halliburton, I might not be able to get back. Like, that's another big thing. And then, again, Indiana could look at it as his play and go, maybe he's not worth the money and to keep and stick around, which could be very beneficial to the Lakers, right? Now, again, I understand he had a poor NBA Finals. But if you actually watch the way he was utilized in the NBA Finals, opposed to especially that Knicks series, he was basically just kind of floating. Right, where in the Knicks series in particular, he was regularly in the action. But OKC, I don't know if it was necessarily a bad matchup or it was just whatever. I have to talk to Rick Carlisle and ask him, right? Like, why wasn't Myles Turner in the action the way that he was in some of these other series, right? It could have been just because OKC is very guard heavy, very guard, prominent, and they went small on several times. Maybe they were just like, hey, we wanted to kind of match and be able to stick with it. And, instead of focusing on Myles Turner, kind of get some of the guard play, put some pressure on their guards, get their guards in foul trouble. Could have been a million things, right? But that also, again, could be beneficial to the Lakers because the Lakers might be able to get him at a cheaper price than they would have otherwise, where he wanted $30+ million. One, Indiana might go, hey, not worth it after what we just saw, or it might not be worth it now that we don't have Tyrese Halliburton. Two, a team like the Lakers, maybe you can work something out. Now, the only way you'd be able to get Myles Turner is via sign and trade. right? Because Lakers don't have the salary cap. I mean, LeBron could literally retire, and you still wouldn't have the salary cap to go sign Myles Turner outright. So, a couple things would have to happen. One, you'd have to do a sign and trade, and two, LeBron James would have to take a discount to keep you, because you'd be hard capped on a sign and trade. So Lakers would have to convince LeBron James, which maybe he'd do it for Myles Turner. Maybe he looks at it and goes, man, Myles Turner, I'll take the discount to keep us under the first apron, so that way you free up your full mid-level exception and then go get a Myles Turner. That wouldn't be too bad. I'd love to have Myles Turner. I've seen a lot of people talk about he only had, 6 points, 3 rebounds? But I don't know if people just not watch Myles Turner? This is a guy that he's never been an excellent rebounder. Right? He's a guy that's been a 7 rebound a game guy. Myles Turner, however, though, how many teams have the luxury of a Luka Doncic who's going to go get you 8 rebounds a game and LeBron James is going to go get you 8 rebounds a game? You need Myles Turner for his scoring ability, the offensive versatility that he provides, and his defense and shot blocking. Right? That's where he comes. It's where he's so big and important. And it's one of those things that, what did you do for me lately? People look at kind of the finals in which it was just kind of a bad matchup for him, and they go and they look at, or completely ignore and fail to look at the rest of the playoffs where he was, having major impacts and having huge games and having huge block shots. He had a couple huge ones in that Knicks series. Right? So again, I'd love to have a Myles Turner. Right? If you can pull it off and you can get him and it makes sense and reasonable, especially if it's sign and trade, you're probably not selling the farm to go get him. Right? Usually you look at most sign and trades, it's kind of here's a couple seconds to facilitate the trade, right? Because usually that team's willing to, they'd rather get something than nothing where he could just leave. Also, Lakers have expiring contracts, so you could give the contracts to a team like the Indiana Pacers, who are kind of going to go in a hiatus year. Something to kind of keep in mind as well. So I'm not really worried about Myles Turner's lack of play. Or lack of production. I think a lot, again, if you watch that series, he was not utilized in that series being part of the offensive action the way that he was in literally all the other series. And again, maybe it's just because of OKC in the matchup. Rick Carlisle, maybe he just wanted to kind of match that. And then, just the production. But Myles Turner, to me, the big question is, does he make sense now? Right? He made all the sense in the world when you had Anthony Davis, right? Because AD shifts to the 4. You got Myles Turner at the 5. Both guys can spread the floor. So LeBron, because Myles Turner's more of a LeBron center than he is a Luka center. Because Luka likes that lob threat and the guy that, he's okay with a center clogging the paint because he likes to create that dribble penetration, get in the teeth of the defense. Defense collapses, boom, easy lob. Where LeBron, Myles Turner is ideal for because he likes to, let's clear everything out, right? Put his head down, get to the basket, bully his way to the basket, and then if he needs to, can kick out to shooters. So he prefers that kind of stretch floor big man. So Myles Turner makes all the sense for LeBron, and he also, when you had Anthony Davis, made all the sense for Anthony Davis because, again, he could spread the floor. So if Anthony Davis wants to be aggressive, get into the rim and stuff, Anthony Davis can also spread the floor. So Myles Turner, if he wants to be around the rim, but also gives you that shot blocker and help defense, and you're not really concerned about the lack of rebounding from Myles Turner because you would have had Anthony Davis and LeBron James alongside him. Now, you could argue the same thing with Luka and LeBron to where it's you're not really worried about the rebounding because Luka's going to go get you 6 to 8 a game and LeBron's going to go get you 6 to 8 a game. So you just, as long as he's giving you, 6 to 8 a game, you're good. Right? And kind of have that rebounding balance and team rebounding and stuff. Also, it's one of those things where it's he's the best center available, so just go get him. Right? It's who's worse, or you could do worse, or who's better, right? Type thing. He's 29 years old, right? He just turned 29, so he's on the right side of 30. He could be your center for the next, basically the next contract, because you'd be signing him to a new contract. So you finish him through that contract, and then kind of take it from there. If you can get him, I would say get him. However, something that I've talked about, and I still stand by, is that I don't think the Lakers need that skilled big man anymore. Right? Luka, the difference between Luka and Anthony Davis is Luka's shot creation ability and ability to be an offensive engine by himself. right? Anthony Davis needs setup, right? Like Anthony Davis isn't an offensive engine. He's a guy that he can go get you 40, don't get me wrong, but he's a guy you need that first initiator. You need that point of contact to where he can now go to work. Well, you don't need that with Luka, right? So and any center that you get is going to be the fourth, fifth option on the team, right? So you just need somebody that can be serviceable. If you can get somebody like Myles Turner, I'm not saying you don't, right? Beautiful if you can, but I don't think it's something that's entirely necessary, right? Like if you have to go and hard cap yourself and give up a bunch of assets to get Myles Turner, personally, I'd rather you just go the cheaper route, like what's the cheapest option, and then go solve other issues and other needs. Right? And Myles Turner wants 30 plus million. If he wants, if he's willing to take 20 to 25 million, then yeah, maybe there's a conversation to be had there. If I will say though too, if Myles Turner is what it takes to convince LeBron to take a discount, then I would go get Myles Turner. Right? Like, because even if you make the argument Myles Turner isn't the best center, particularly for Luka, the fact that you'd get Myles Turner, who is still a very good basketball player, but you could go get another higher-end player, it wouldn't be you're just getting Myles Turner now. It'd be like you're getting Myles Turner and a Nickeil Alexander-Walker or, Bruce Brown or whatever, right? Those are kind of my thoughts. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, pass question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out as we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.